French authorities have released the death certificate for the late Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa. Mthethwa died last week after allegedly falling from a 22nd hotel building in Paris in a suspected suicide. The family is now readying for the cultural observations and rites of passage before his remains can be repatriated to South Africa, with cultural practices such as ukulanda, umoya still needing to be done, which directly translates as fetching his spirit. Now let's discuss this and more with traditional healer and cultural expert Zandile Nkosi, also known as Mkhulu, as well as religious and cultural scholar Professor Musa Xulu. Good morning, Mkhulu. Thokoza Mkhulu, thokoza Kel.
Thokoza Maschaba, may I just correct you, is Mkhulu Somhlolo Dlamini.
Thank you very much for that correction. And then good morning, Professor. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, Maschaba. Good morning, fellow South Africans.
Now, firstly, Mkhulu, let me start with you. What exactly does the Zulu ritual ukulanda, umoya, fetching the spirit, involve, especially when someone dies away from home, like overseas?
Chaba, and to all the viewers at home. Firstly, I just want to say this is not a new thing. You know, it's been there since time immemorial. African practices or African spirituality, we are accustomed to this, we're used to it. Ukulanda umoya basically means the body is, the person is now deceased and the body left, the spirit left the body. But now, we are Africans, we believe that this is our forefathers were in Africa. We need to now be brought back home for a send-off. So we can bring the body, but if we don't fetch the soul becomes problematic in the country that it is in. So in France, the soul might linger, might wander, might cause similar incidences if it's not fetched. And this process is done by family members with assistance of a healer, a trusted healer. Thank you.
And to add to that, also, it could even result in generational curses as well. Now, Professor, I'd like to bring you in here. How important is performing such a ritual in Zulu culture, or actually, let me say in African culture, for the peace of the deceased and the family? I mean, what are the believed consequences if it's not done?
Well, the Mthethwa family will have to get a branch of umpafa, which is a buffalo thorn tree, and go with it. Firstly, they must report to their ancestors before they go to Paris that they are going there to do this and that. And then when they get to Paris, when they start with the performance, they go to where he died. Because the belief is that when you die, your soul remains where you died. And it has to be fetched and reunited with your body, so that the soul will not enter back to the body, but will have to be next to the body. So they will go there and then, of course, talk to their ancestors, talk to him directly, and then go to the hospital, to the mortuary. And of course, because he will fly, so maybe they may have to put the branch inside the coffin. And when they get to Johannesburg, they take it out and talk to him again where we are now, and then keep on talking to him until they reach home and put the branch next to the coffin until the burial. The most important thing that, and I'm happy that you said Africans, because if you limit to Zulu, you'll find that the clans have various versions, although the principle is the same. But, and then, of course, until there is a burial. If it's not done, as Mkhulu has correctly said, the soul will linger around Paris, causing havoc. And as you're rightly saying, it may also become generational curses. The belief is that when you die, your final destination should be uniting with your ancestors. I know Christians die and they want to go to heaven. In this case, the final destination, and for him as a 50-year-old, is an umnumzan. So the belief is that the ancestors are waiting for him, and on the burial day, even before the Mthethwas will start. You remember this was a big kingdom before Shaka. We will start singing their own Amahubo songs and inviting the ancestors to participate in the burial itself, so that there is peace.
And for those who don't know, Professor, Ambassador is the great-great-great-grandson of King Dingiswayo, who was the advisor to Shaka Zulu. So it's quite a rich lineage that he comes from, and I'd like to bring Umkhulu Somhlolo Dlamini into this now. Umkhulu, what exactly is the role of traditional healers in guiding the family through this process?
Traditional healers remain neutral because the family is now mourning. And in our culture, or in African culture, we say that while you are mourning, you cannot be ubambe umuti wakho ngeke usebenze because usemnyameni.
What does that mean?
A traditional healer, usebumnyameni, you are in the dark. So you must wait for the cleansing. So then therefore they cannot use umuti to do the rituals themselves. So the traditional healer would be the one that would be carrying umpafa, like the Prof has just said, umpafa or umlahlabanvu, the twig. The twig, they go with it from South Africa. Then when they arrive at Paris, at the hotel outside where he had passed on, a traditional healer will still hold umpafa, but one of the family elders must now recite the clan names.
Unyambosi. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Unyambosi.
Yeah. Who is chosen in the family to facilitate or preside over this?
So every family has got protocols. You know, in African spirituality, not everybody bends in Beppo. There are elders, Guno Baba Wekaya. And there's protocol for everything. So in this case, the Nyambose clan or the Nyambose family would have had a meeting where they have sent a delegation. And I'm sure part of the delegation would be then the Nyambose royal house, because he is from royalty. Then, but all those are elders. There might be one or two females, but normally it doesn't happen, especially when it's a male. Because when they arrive in Paris, in the mortuary, they must go by cleanser, because we don't want him to carry the curse that caused what happened, because we're not sure if it's witchcraft, if he was pushed, but if it's suicide, he must be cleansed before he even arrives in the country. So a traditional healer then would be able to do those ceremonies while the family is there talking to the spirit.
Professor, how much more can you tell us about the significance of umpafa or mhlankosi shrub in this ritual? How is it used particularly, and why that particular shrub?
Well, umlahlankosi.
Thank you.
There is a relationship, a very close relationship between human beings and nature in African religious systems. And this one tree is able to attract the spirits of the dead. And it's also able to talk to the spirits of the dead, provided a senior member of the family appointed to do so is talking and the branch is with him or near him, and the umpafa is able to communicate easier with the departed, more than when you do it yourself directly, especially in the case where somebody dies so far away from home, or maybe accidentally, and so on and so on. I was talking to the MEC of Transport in KZN about the many accidents, and it has become clear on the side of us as cultural people, as well as traditional healers and the church, that there may be need for prayers and some kind of, as Mkhulu was saying, rituals performed on some of the roads so that the spirits that are busy causing accidents can be returned to their own families.
Now, Professor, I love the fact that you've mentioned the dynamic. You've pretty much introduced it into the conversation between African spirituality and religion. And you earlier mentioned that we go, as in, when I say we, I mean those who subscribe to African spirituality go to be with their ancestors, and then Christians go to be in heaven, which for me is still a spiritual place because you're going to be with your angels, either way. But now let's talk about the intersectionality of religion and culture, because Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa passed away in a foreign land. I mean, the French generally don't know about our African rituals, right? So, I mean, are there any clashes or complementary elements between the two, as in African spirituality and religion? Professor.
Religion is in Christianity, because there are many types of religions. Let's then limit it to Christianity. What normally will happen, because he was a diplomat, there will have been many meetings and discussions between the South African Department of International Relations and the French counterparts, where the cultural practices would also have to be discussed, because, you know, if the French are not aware of this cultural practice, they may think that it's another kind of voodoo and start arresting people. They are very strict about cultism and all of those things. So there would have been discussions to say, we expect that on Tuesday or Wednesday, the coming week, the Mthethwa family seniors will arrive and conduct a ritualistic communication with the land of the ancestors. What will happen then? Because you see, that sin is still fenced as a crime scene.
Yes.
So they will have to be, that's why I'm emphasizing the importance of the negotiations, so that maybe there could have been limitations placed, because you don't want in 2 or 3 weeks the DNA of the Mthethwas also to be found on the crime scene, causing confusion. But it's a protocol thing. It's a diplomatic thing. I don't think that the French would have a problem with that, knowing that South Africans and all countries have versions of religion, which may not necessarily be the French version of Christianity.
Sure. Now, Mkhulu, how do these African rituals link to ongoing memory and ancestors, and especially communal healing?
This rituals closure to the family, because, as we said, part of the reasons for these rituals is to ward off the bad spirits. We want a pure, beautiful spirit, so that abe yidlozi elihle, and we believe in life after death. So we want his spirit to live on. We want the communication. They must dream about him. He must be able to communicate with them and tell them, hey, I'm relaxed, and, you know, apologize to those that he needs to apologize for. So these rituals are very, very important, because sometimes people say, our person died many years ago, there's no communication, there is nothing. Or some would say, our person died many years ago, and some people are seeing him asking for food, but they cannot come back home.
I'd like to expand
that's a cry for them.
I'd like to expand on that, Mkhulu, which is a very important part of the conversation, is his communication from the other side. So when a person has passed away, they no longer have a voice. How do we actually know that we are doing the right thing in his absentia?
Remember, we're guided by spirit. We're guided by the ancestors. He is now going to be an ancestor and carry on. So this is our African heritage that we own, that we have been bestowed with, that we've been gifted with. So that's why people would dream. So that's why people would have visions, because those visions are not from the people that are still alive, but they're from the deceased.
Now, Prof, I'd like to bring you in here. Is there basis for the fear among the family or community, potential fear, that without doing this ritual, there could be misfortune, as you've mentioned, bad dreams, restless spirit? What are those beliefs specifically in this case?
Well, I think Mkhulu has said it. I forgot Maschaba in the beginning. I wanted to pass condolences to the Mthethwa family. I knew Nathi Mthethwa very well as his the family of his wife. But let's pass on that. What is likely to happen if the rituals are not performed is that he may actually even become a bad ancestor, and even go to the other side and influence the ancestors, other ancestors who were good to the Mthethwa kingdom, to start turning against it, because as you rightly said, this is the descendant of King Dingiswayo, who actually is the actual creator of the Zulu kingdom. And so he carries around him a cloud of greatness. But if he goes there and to the land of the ancestors, and he is unhappy and he can see that things are not being done, he will start coming in dreams. He may start coming in road accidents, through road accidents to the members of the family or the clan, and other disasters which will come one after the other. So the performance of these rituals is to avoid those calamities that may fall upon the clan if the rituals are not performed. Then, of course, the most important one at burial, because it is Mnumzane, they will perform the Amahubo songs, which are partly war songs and partly religious songs, which each clan has, one or two, specifically to the Mthethwa, not the Zulu ones that we always see on TV with the Mabuto. That will be a final unification between him and the ancestors. Of course, becoming an ancestor is itself a long walk. You don't become an ancestor immediately, you die. You're dead, but an ancestor is expected to perform certain functions that enhances the lives of those that are left behind. That takes time also. He will arrive there and he will be orientated, maybe by even King Dingiswayo himself, on his new role as an ancestor. Then one day he will show up one way or the other. If they have dreams that they can't understand, they will go to traditional healers and for unpacking of dreams, then they know that he is now in action on the other side.